Okay.
This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, welcome everybody to the Monday, August 8th Permanent Public Building Committee meeting. Tonight we have the Public Safety Complex, Emery Grover, and the studies schedule review, the Hillside Boiler Project discussion items. We have one item at the end for other business. Given the quorum for the meeting, but we need a quorum for the previous minutes, I'll move the meeting minute approval motion to the tail end. So with that, we'll move to the first item topic, which is the public safety, and we'll turn that to you, Ken.
All right, let me get my screen up here.
And we also have the new fire chief who's in attendance today.
Ah, welcome, Chief Conroy.
Tom Conroy.
Thank you. Thank you.
Where is my, I just opened it. Son of a gun. For some reason, it doesn't want to show me the police fire agenda, even though it's open. I may have to wing this without the screen. Hang on a second, let me try this one more time.
Unless Hank, you can bring it up.
There it is. Okay. When in doubt, reboot.
There
All
you
right,
go.
everyone see that all right?
Yep, it's coming up.
Okay. All right, so the ACL hasn't changed since the last meeting. We are waiting on new pricing on the mechanics office heat with the new plan that GGD came up with. And we're also waiting on pricing from New Era for the booking. Matt's vendor, New Era, can do that, and we'll probably be able to do it at a cheaper price than going through Consigli. So he's been chasing them for bids on that, their pricing on that. That's a town contract, so that's already set up. Other than that, there's nothing else that we have on police fire. So we can get into the voting items, Stuart. Just before, I'm sure, Stuart, you probably ask the I think it's 52,000 is the contingency balance
With the ACL, as it currently stands.
So
that's down, right? That's down.
Yeah, that's down the sign. The only difference is I put in this month with the sign over at Fire Station 2.
Yeah, and I'll open up the questions to the floor, but for the sign, we've all agreed what we need to do. I think the previous meeting, we said that it was okay to put it at the end, which I think is to the southwest of the property line, right by the white picket or the white split rail fence, correct?
Right, and Richard followed up with me today. One of the gentlemen that he's been in touch with is taking the lead and is kind of making the rounds with everybody. I sent him a plot plan on the sort of the area we could position it where it would be visible. We don't want to get it too close to that new tree, which is approximately the old location of the sign. So we want to kind of push it a little bit further down towards Webster Green, anywhere from the middle of that fence down to the property line at the other end. So we're waiting to hear back from all the constituents that are on the sign.
So Richard, we haven't caught up with everybody to get it. We don't know if there's any issues or everybody's good to go, or you're on mute. Richard, you're on mute. Nope, you're on mute now. Yeah, it must be the microphone. Take a look at your
Okay. Well, as I was going to say that a lot of these organizations are kind of dormant, like semi-dormant over the summer.
Yeah, it's hard to hear you, Richard. I wonder if it's the I don't know, maybe on your computer hit the settings to get to the right Mike?
Well, I'll have to update you later. I'm gonna work on it.
Okay, all right. Thanks. Open the floor up to any questions regarding this project before we go to the voting items.
What are the major items that are still left to do, Ken?
Just basically what you see on the ACL.
Okay, so there's the punch list, there's no punch list left?
A few items keep cropping up here and there. They're really warranty items. Punch list is technically done, but we have warranty items that crop up that we deal with. I just got there's a leak at the back door that PD notified me of today. They had to reprogram the paddles for the front doors. Just little niggling things. The VAV, they were supposed to start installing the ceiling today. I don't know whether they did. I've been on COVID alert because one of the contractors from Cardosi came down with COVID over the weekend. So I've been, I did not, was not on site today.
Okay, other questions? Okay, we'll move to the voting items. A couple things first, we are still in a virtual meeting, so we'll do the roll call. Chief Conroy, I don't know if you have been brought up to speed, but essentially we go through on the project, the invoices to be paid, put forth a motion for approval. You are, as part of the user group with Chief Schlittler, through the roll call, we go through the committee members and then the user group, which would be you and Chief Schlittler. So we'll go through each voting item that's listed here, and we'll do that. Any questions or concerns?
No, sir. Thank you, Bo,
Okay,
for that. Thank you.
super. Okay, so we'll go down through we'll start with the change order first. I will go and put forth the change order.
There is no change order, Stuart.
Yeah,
It's the PSS for
I-
KBA.
exactly. It's got CO on the front side of it, so that's why I said that.
Sorry.
So fair enough. So let me put forth the PSS number 51 for the artwork for $9,008 coming out of the general contracting budget. Do I hear a second?
Second,
Thank you, George. Any questions? Hearing none, coming to the roll call. Richard?
Aye.
Roy?
Aye.
George?
aye,
Chair is aye. Chief Schlittler?
Aye.
Chief Conroy?
Aye.
Okay, great. Next item is a invoice for consigli requisition number 43, services for July 2022 for $273,407.14 coming out of the general contracting budget. One note on this item, this has got a $257,940.91 retainage release as part of the 273. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Roy. Any questions?
does that release all the retainage? Ken,
No, not even half.
not even half, okay. So when will that be
We're holding-
released?
When some of the contractors that we're chasing get off their you know what.
Okay, all right, so we're still waiting on, all right, got it.
Okay, any further questions? Hearing none, coming to the vote. Roll call. Richard?
Aye.
Thank you, Richard. We can hear you when you say aye, so
Good.
you're good with that. Roy?
Aye.
George?
Aye,
Chair is aye. Chief Schlittler?
Aye.
Chief Conroy?
Aye.
Great, thank you. Okay. Next one is an invoice from KBA for July 2022 services coming out of the architectural budget for $3,125. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Roy. Any questions? Seeing none, hearing none, coming to roll call. Richard? I think I saw an aye. Roy,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Erwin, were you in for that invoice?
I just heard you discuss it, so why don't I wait till you get through these
Okay,
before I
thank you.
participate?
Chair is aye, and Chief Schlittler,
Aye.
and Chief Conroy.
Aye.
Great, thank you. Okay, next invoice is for Robert H. Lord Furniture, $19,000 coming out of the FF&E budget. Do I hear a second?
Seconded.
Thank you, George. Any questions? Hearing none, seeing none, coming to the roll call. Richard? I can see Richard. You want to put your hand up? All right, so let me hold Richard. Roy,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Erwin,
Aye.
Chair is aye. Richard, you want to put your hand up? Yep, I see
Aye.
aye. Yep,
Aye.
thank you. Chief Schlittler,
Aye.
Chief Conroy.
Aye.
Great. Last invoice for the public safety is the Oakers Company for AV equipment installation for $235.50 coming out of the technology budget. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Roy. Any questions? Hearing none. You have a question, Erwin?
No,
Oh, okay, sorry. The yellow box goes around if there's some noise or raised hand. Okay, perfect. Richard?
Aye.
Thank you. Roy?
Aye.
George?
Aye.
Erwin?
Aye.
Chair is aye. Chief Schlittler?
Aye.
Chief Conroy?
aye.
Great. I believe that's it for all the invoices. And any last questions, closure of this topic? Ken, anything else?
I'm good.
Okay. With that, I will close this topic down. Thank you very much to Chief Conroy, Chief Schlittler, and the rest
All
of
right,
the
thank
user
you.
group.
Thank you so much. Thank
We
you.
will, Barry, I'm sorry, Barry, did you have your hand up before? I didn't see you kept it
I
up.
did, but Ken answered it. I was going to ask a question about the VAV that was being installed in the vestibule.
Great. Okay, that's what I thought. All right, just want to make sure.
Thank
All right, super. So with that, we will move to the Emery Grover topic and to Mr. Hank.
Let's see if the magic of computers
Or to
works.
Ken.
Look at that.
Turn to you, Ken, right?
Okay. All right, Emery Grover. We're going through the pre-qualification process now. We've got a meeting on Thursday. We kind of divvied up the filed sub bids and general contractors. And the idea is to have the list ready for the meeting in 2 weeks so that the qualifying contractors can be notified, and then the documents are ready on 9/1 for the to go out for bids. We're working on the 90% drawings right now, trying to get the last pieces into it. Little niggles here and there. We just put the signage through, some changes for that, but we continue to work towards getting the construction drawings ready to go out on 9/1. As far as work at Hillside, sprinkler work is complete except for the current IT area, and they can't get into that until the IT folks move, which we're tentatively targeting for 9/14 to move them down into the old cafeteria. We've got office framing and drywall work underway for some of the individual offices that are being added in some of the areas. And the electrical work for this project continues. And I know Barry's got his guys working on the transformer work that's going on there. Barry, do you just want to give a quick update on that?
Yeah, all the underground's been approved and signed off on, and inspected, approved, signed off on. We're just waiting for, I believe, it is this week, Thursday. Eversource is going to be dropping the pad. And that's where we are right now. So we're just waiting for the pad to be dropped this week, and they're going to start the interior work next week.
Okay. Any questions on drawings, schedule, what have you? Okay. Two items on the ACL here. One is the AC sizing. Turns out some of the ACs that were specified don't fit in the casement style windows that we have. We have a solution to it. This money, we're probably going to have to send some back, and there'll be a restocking fee. So the idea of this PCO is to cover some of the restocking fee. And then the closet shelf removal, there are, I believe it's 12 classrooms that have, I'll just call them closets. They're more like coat closets that required a sprinkler head in them. Problem is, one half is a coat closet, the other half is shelves. So those shelves have to be removed, or a sprinkler head has to be added in the other half of the closet, and it's much more economical to just take the shelves out of the closet. So that's what those two items are for on the ACL. Barry, question?
Yeah, Ken, I don't want to be nickel and dimed throughout this project. So small stuff like this, I don't know if it's, I don't know if it's a conflict of interest or something else, but if there's some little things that you might throw my way, or you might ask me if my staff can do some of the stuff, just, let me know if it doesn't breach any contract or anything. Just so we can at least put some eyes on it and do it in-house, might save some money.
Sure. I'll see what happens when the number comes in. They got a demo guy coming in anyways, so it might not be that egregious. But if the ad is something that might look like it's out of line, certainly we can kibitz on that.
All right.
All right. Any questions? All right, Stuart, fire away on the
Okay.
few items we have for voting.
Okay, let's go to the voting items. We have 5 items. The first one is the CO number 1 for $16,658.38 coming out of the general contracting budget. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any questions? You can see the change order in front of you, the sprinkler changes and the reroute. Seeing no questions.
Can I ask who seconded that?
Yeah, Roy.
Roy? Okay, thanks.
And roll call. Richard,
Aye.
Roy,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Irwin,
Aye.
Chair is aye. Michael,
Aye.
Ann,
Aye.
great. Second, coming the invoices, the first one is a requisition for Jay Cardosi for through July 2022 for $175,200.09. Is it 90 cents?
Yes.
Thank you. Coming out of general contract.
Mine's a typo.
It's okay. Coming out of general, oh, but yours there, but I'm looking at a different form. General contracting budget. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Michael. Any questions? Hearing none, coming to roll call. Richard,
Aye.
Roy,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Irwin,
Aye.
Chair is aye. Michael,
Aye.
Ann,
Aye.
thank you. I'm gonna group 2 invoices together coming out of the architectural budget for BH&A. One is for June 2022 services for Emery Grover for $114,154.42. Second invoice of the 2 is for June 2022 services Hillside for $16,143.75, all for a total of $130,298.17 coming out of the architectural budget. Here's second.
Second.
Thank you, Richard. Any questions? Seeing none, hearing none, coming to roll call. Richard,
Aye.
Roy,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Irwin,
Aye.
Chair is aye. Michael,
Aye.
Ann,
Aye.
great. Last invoice for Hill International, June 2022 services for Emery Grover for $17,582.50 coming out of the miscellaneous budget. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Roy. Any questions? Hearing none, seeing none, coming to the roll call. Richard,
Aye.
Roy,
Aye.
George,
Aye.
Erwin,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
Ann,
Aye.
Chair's aye, and that is all the invoices I have, Catherine and Ken.
Yes.
Okay, Check
Stuart,
mark.
I do have one other thing. I was remiss and not, if I can find it here, I need to stop the share and then share again. This is the list of proprietary items for Emery Grover. We're not going to take a formal vote tonight because I want to make sure we grab everything, but this kind of preps everybody for what's coming. There might be one or two more items, but nothing really earth-shattering here. The structureware, which is the building management control system, which is what we use throughout the town. So obviously we're not going to switch from that to something else. A couple of plumbing items, a LK water fountain, bottle filler, and Sloan flushometer. That's what's currently used in the town. They want to keep the standard there so they're not carrying multiple sets of pots for that. The Vigilon door controls, again, the current system that the schools are using. Hanwha cameras, again, the school is using that for their cameras, as well as the 2N door intercom and the Extron system, which is their room scheduler. Those are all currently in use and aren't compatible with other items, so these will need to be proprietary items. So if anyone has any questions on those, I'll be happy to answer them now, and we'll do a formal vote in 2 weeks. Barry.
The Extron room scheduler, does that interface with the BMS in any way?
To be honest, I do not know. That would be a question. That'd be a question for Mark or Will.
Okay, all right, just something maybe we,
But it's their
I'll find you tomorrow.
room yeah, it's their room scheduler thing, but I don't understand the magic that it does.
I don't know.
It was new.
It is tied into
Yeah,
occupancy and stuff like in HVAC.
It is.
Okay.
I do know that. Yes, I know that it
Okay.
is, but this is a product we haven't, at least I haven't run into before in any of the other buildings.
Right.
It's a school. The schools use it, but it's not used on the town side.
All right, well, all right, maybe we'll talk, we'll have just a conversation with Mark.
Maybe at the meeting on Wednesday.
Okay, thank you.
Now that's it, Stuart. Thank you.
Any other questions from the committee? Okay, great. All right, we'll close down the Emery Grover topic. And just FYI, Chief Conroy, I know you're still on. You can stay. I don't want to hold you up if you've got other things. You're really for the public safety building item, but please feel free to stay on. I know your time is valuable.
Thank you.
So don't want you to feel you have to stay through the whole committee because we'll go through a couple different projects and topics. Okay, great. Let's move to the studies, Hank. Oh, before you do that, I just want to go back to the Emery Grover. Apologize, folks, but I think it's important. There is, and Hank and Ken, we know we have the chairs meeting next wait, when's the chairs meeting? Yikes.
Thursday?
Yeah, it's Thursday. I had it this morning and we moved, right, thank you, Thursday morning. And the reason is from our last discussion in this committee meeting, we talked about how the bids and the estimations had come up higher, and I think it's 4,455, Hank, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
We are going to hold a chairs meeting and present those numbers and have the discussion about the warrant articles. So I just want folks to be aware that our discussion last meeting and the numbers, we are going to go have a chairs meeting to discuss that. With that said, I just wanted to put that out there. And if there's any questions or discussion around that, we can have it now or post the chair's meeting. I can give an update.
Can you
Barry, you have a
remind us
question?
again? Can you remind us again what the numbers are that you're proposing?
Hank, you want to just do that quickly?
Just around numbers.
You're on mute, Hank,
Oh, we're not hearing you.
or we're not hearing you, yeah. Zoom's not being cooperative for Richard and Hank. No, the only thing I can say to folks is that when we have this problem, I sometimes will go to, if you do the drop, if you hit the arrow next to your mute button, not the mute button, but just next to the arrow up, and then go to audio settings, you can change your mic and your speaker. Sometimes that works for me. When I change it and correct that. Just make sure it's to your computer or whatever device you're using to connect through USB.
Stuart, I can answer the question. I just called up the spreadsheet. It's 20, I believe 25,260 is the revised number. And that's about 4.4 million higher than where we were with the 19.4 appropriation. And the way that it's budgeted right now is if we use the current estimate that the estimators came up with and add in all of our extras and our committed numbers, we have a little under $100,000 in contingency based on that 19.4 allocation, along with the roughly 2 million or so that was allocated for design, et cetera, before that.
So George, yeah, go ahead.
So the number that we're asking for is approximately $4 million more than what we originally.
4.455.
4.455, 4.445. Little under 4.5, George.
Okay,
And that's to support a 20% contingency, correct, Ken?
Correct.
Yep. Yeah, we're having a tough time, Hank.
and we'll still wait until we hear that's to get it on the warrant. We'll
That's
still
to get that
wait.
discussion topic moving and depending on.
That's right. That's right, George. God forbid the actual bids come in higher than what we've estimated, then we've got another bridge to cross. But let's go with the 4 or 5 roughly right now.
But if it comes in lower, we're golden.
Yeah, we can always amend.
We can drop it. Correct.
Barry, you had a question?
Yeah, forgive my ignorance, but what is a chairs meeting?
Chairs meeting is the chairs of each committee that is impacted by a project. So this would be myself, Ken, Hank, as well as Dan, and other chairs of other committees that are pertinent to the topic.
Thank you.
Yep.
The
Hank,
primary
you're on mute,
right.
right, Hank? Yeah.
The primary purpose of the chairs meeting was to be able to have a discussion kind of offline that involved all of the key personnel when you've got an issue that is probably going to need to have some modifications made to it, or it might be contentious at town meeting or whatever. And so it's essentially, it's not formal committee meetings, but it's there to have that open discussion without it being a formal committee meeting.
Thanks, George.
Yep.
Stuart, the article, do we have a date for the town meeting yet, the October town meeting?
I thought it was the 24th of October, I thought.
I couldn't remember hearing it. Okay, 24th. God, thank you, Tim. When the article goes in, does it go in with the amount, or is it one of those we have to put in the amount in the article itself? Sometimes you put, money to be raised.
Since we've already put out, the warrant already went out with a number. I think the objective of the group is to put a number out there, I believe. And I think our approach in the discussion is that you put out the 4
Mhm.
dot dot to make sure that it's the number we're educated on today with the 20% contingency. We know in town meeting, we can always amend to go up or go down, but let's not get into that. The key is to share with what we know now on the information, to position the best they can for what they have to do in the timetable for the warrant. But I believe everybody understands our real objective is to get the bids in and take the true bids and information to town meeting. But we need to move this process, keep educating this process as we go.
Okay.
All right, Richard.
Wanted to add, hope you can hear me, that the key is to get a number that we're comfortable with for the warrant, because once the warrant goes to print, the moderator will not allow an increase in the dollar amount. He will allow a decrease, of course, but not an increase. So, because that's public notice, the warrant really constitutes notice to the community. And that's what the proponents will be seeking. So we need to really, with full force, get to a number that we're satisfied with and get the various stakeholders on board in order to move forward.
Okay. Any other questions? Hank, do you think you're able to? No, still can't hear you, Hank. One thing you may want to do, Hank, is mute your system and then use your cell phone to zoom in without video. That might work. I don't know. Or reboot.
You could use the phone to call in on the audio line.
Yeah. Looks like he dropped. So why don't we give Hank a few minutes to do that. In the interim, are there other questions? Let me ask Richard while we have that. I thought you still could amend up on a topic like that versus the budget and the town meeting in May when you're working off that budget.
No, I'm sure it really, the warrant is notice to the community. So you really
Right.
You have to narrow, you have to get to a number that you're comfortable with. You can always move down, you can't move up once that number's published.
Yeah, even if the bids come in, because that's what I understood. Hank? No, can't hear you, Hank.
I think part of the reason for that, Stuart, is that one would believe that if you have a number in the warrant, it's already been discussed as to where that money's
Right.
coming from. And if you go up from there, there's no chance to discuss where the money's going to be coming from or if it's going to be coming.
Yeah. Fair enough. No, I knew that, but I figured in this instance, if we had the evidence and everything else that they would propose, but you're right. So I don't know if Hank you can dial in by your phone, Hank, and see if that works.
Yeah, Hank, on the email with the Zoom link, there are phone numbers to dial in if you want to just use a phone. Or we can send the IT squad over to your house.
Stuart, while we're waiting, I can just fill you in again on the sign update I mentioned before. So basically, we're waiting for various constituent groups, stakeholders to get back from their summer dormancy to be able to process and evaluate the proposal and hopefully sign off. So that's what we're waiting for.
We don't anticipate any issues, do we, Richard?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the only open question I think I would have is Charles River Chamber, whether they would want to succeed the NBA on the sign. That's really up to them.
Oh. But I'm thinking more in terms of location. Do we think that anybody's got an issue with what's happened? We're redoing the sign accordingly, and where we're gonna place it more so than what's on the sign, which I think is a different topic.
I think the Exchange Club and the other stakeholders will understand or have understood that we have a kind of a limited area to work with. I think the plot plan that was provided by Ken was fabulous. It was very, very helpful, better than I could describe it to the folks, and they're evaluating it now.
Okay. Any luck, Hank?
And can you hear me now?
Yeah, but turn your computer off. Do one or the other. Flick your, I can definitely hear you on your phone.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. You sound crystal clear. Where you been?
Yeah.
I'm trying to work on my home computer, and clearly that doesn't work. In any case, we have two RFQs that are currently on the street. One is for the CAF.
Yeah, hold on a second. I just want to, we talked about two things while you're joining. So just to help everybody on the agenda, we're swinging now back to the study schedule. But before that, Hank, did you have anything relative to the chair's meeting or anything? We had a small discussion while you were working.
Yes, the question I think that'll come out of the chairs committee will be whether they can pull together sufficient funding to reach the 4.455 million. And if not, could some of it be appropriated at October town meeting and the balance be appropriated in the spring town meeting when they anticipate having free cash available as supplemental funds. So Ken and I were looking into that. And I think we can discuss it further if and when there are questions that come out of the chairs meeting to that effect.
Don't you have to have the money set aside for the project before you can approve it?
Well, we have to have sufficient funding to encumber the full amount for the bid. And we would want to have some percentage of contingency for that. And given today's market, we would also want to be able to go through and order the FF&E and the technology as soon as possible in the new year. So all told, that means that we need to get a fair amount of that full contingency on board in order to move forward with the project. I'm not sure, depending upon what the bids come in, George, will depend on what wiggle room we have.
Right, but let everyone know that we have never done a project like this in the last 25 years, where we actually approved the project and didn't have sufficient funds to cover everything before we started.
Yeah.
We've never done it before.
It reminds us of the environment we're in, George.
I know, I'm not saying that we can't do it. I'm simply saying that I don't think it's a good idea to ever do that. To start a project and not have all the funds available and approved to do it.
Yeah, I hear you. And so the recommendation right now would be to craft the warrant article for the full amount of the funding. And then once we have the bids in hand, adjust it if necessary.
Okay, so with that, anybody else from a chair's, Richard, you got your hand up.
Just wanted to, I thought the proposal regarding free cash is interesting, but I would just caution that it is a gamble because we don't know what the free cash is until the state certifies it, and it's actually the previous fiscal year. So there are a lot of unknowns for that. I've seen free cash sums vary wildly over the years, so I'm not sure that's kind of a thing that I think we all have to think about very carefully to go that route. We know that.
Yep.
I don't want to give anybody any ideas that they could do that, especially in town meeting. Because there'll be some people that will want to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. All All right, with that, Hank, I will turn it back to you and then into the topic of the studies.
Yes, and I forwarded around on Friday an addendum for both of the studies that listed the firms that were interested or had requested the RFQ. I think it's a reasonable number who have expressed their interest in both of them. The responses to the RFQs are due on Thursday, the 11th. And right now, Irwin will be assisting with the CAF study. And primarily the reviews will be done also with Tim McDonald and Barry and myself with Irwin. And so as soon as we receive them, that subcommittee will do an initial review. I will forward out the digital version that everyone on the committee could download. And the subcommittee will determine whether there's a need for interviews. And I guess Stuart and committee members, the question is, do you want the subcommittee to do any interviews, or does the full committee want to do any interviews prior to selection?
Erwin, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I just want to get a sense of the timing. So the bids have to be in by 2 on the 11th.
Correct.
And would the subcommittee be meeting basically at that time to start examining it?
We have until the 22nd. What I would like to do is to give everyone the weekend
Okay.
to review the proposals and set up a time early during the following week to do an initial review, which I suppose could be on Teams, and see if we have see if there are a top 3 that we might want to interview, and then set up those interviews for later in the week so that we would be able to report back to the full committee on the 22nd with a recommendation.
Yeah, I just, I'm fine with meeting at the beginning of the week. I will be leaving the Thursday of that next week.
Okay.
I'll be out of town Thursday to Sunday. So I'm available Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday of next week.
Okay. Well, we may want to, I'm not sure people will be able to review the materials sufficiently in a day to have our initial discussion on the Friday. But I would certainly want to then schedule our initial discussion for the Monday.
Yeah, that would work for me.
And Erwin, are you around during the day, or are you only available in the evening?
I'm available at any time, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday.
Okay. All right, so we'll have our initial discussion. I'll send an invite, talk to Barry, and is there an interest by the full committee to have the full committee do the interviews instead of the subcommittee?
Open up for the discussion.
Not sure it's necessary.
Yeah, I would agree with you, George.
I really think with the 4 of you, we ought to be able to, look at that and hear what your pros and cons were and why the company was selected. And then unless there's some major discussion, go ahead with it.
Okay. And what I would say is that I will send around the digital copy. And if any member of the committee has specific reservations or encouragements about one firm or another, they can certainly email those to me. And the subcommittee will take it under advisement.
Is there any objection to the subcommittees taking on that? Seeing none coming, I think we're okay. I would agree. I'd prefer to see, given the size and the number of people involved, I think it makes a lot of sense to have it done, Hank, and then bring it to the committee with the results. And then as you send information out prior, people can give any feedback in terms of firms as you go through the process. So, okay, if I hear no objections, see no objections, we'll let you move forward that way.
Okay, and then on the RTU replacement for Elliott and Mitchell, we also have a fairly robust set of people who are interested in the project. We had half a dozen who showed up for the walkthrough. This one has, instead of having an architect as the lead, as it is in the CAF, the RTU replacement project has the mechanical engineer as the lead. So there'll be a different type of submission there. And in that instance, George, you're one of the subcommittee. And myself and Barry. And I'm not sure if anyone else from the user group, Anne or Michael, want to participate as members within the subcommittee. I think we can do it with 3 of us, given the expertise on this subcommittee. And so if that's the case,
the group, I would defer to the experts.
okay. Thank you, Anne. And so George, we'll follow a similar process on this one. We'll send around the digital version. I can also drop off a hard copy if you're interested. We are getting a half a dozen hard copies.
When is that scheduled to come in?
Same date, the 11th.
Okay.
So I'll plan to drop off a set at your house that afternoon and give a set to Barry, and I'll keep a set myself. If anyone else wants a hard copy set, please email me. Otherwise, we will post them on the town share file site, and you all can download them to review. And George, likewise, I think we'll probably want to have an initial Teams discussion, maybe on Monday, the 15th, or Tuesday. And then because it's a relatively rapid turnaround, we'll want to schedule any interviews, if we want interviews, later in the week. Later in that week, either Thursday or Friday. And you'll have to tell me if you have any constraints on specific times, but we can discuss that after I do the distribution of the documents.
I'll send you my conflicts tomorrow.
Okay, great. Your availability would be, if we knew what that is, we'll work around that.
Yep. Generally, it's good.
Okay, great. Thank you. And those are the 2 that are ongoing right now. I still need to revise the theater and sound and light study and get that RFQ back out on the street, which I hope to get out next week. And so the award on these 2 that we just discussed, the CAS study and the RTU replacement study, the award will be on the 22nd of August. And then following right after that, we'll go through the finalizing the contracts, But in each case, we'll need to set up the working groups necessary to work with those two firms. And so, Tim, I'll be looking to you to start organizing how you want the working groups to be formed. And on the share file, when I do send that, you should be able to, it'll be a link, and you should be able to download it directly. File sizes are fairly large. And if that fails, then we can load up a thumb drive for anyone who's interested.
Okay.
And then the other thing, so then we hope to get the school theater sound and light study back out onto the street. That would then follow, so that we would end up doing a selection during mid-September, and then integrate working groups on that one. And I guess I'll discuss that with you and with Leanne, who would want to be on the subcommittee for that.
Yes, thank you.
And anyone else you feel important to be party to those discussions. And the library space utilization study and the public works facilities improvement study will ramp up after special town meeting and have a longer time frame. The library is currently working on a strategic plan, and that will factor some information into that RFQ. And Karis is back, and so we'll be able to get updates from her regarding the RFQ scope for the public works facilities study. Any questions, comments on those studies?
Don't see any. Erwin, you have your hand up?
Yeah, Hank, I might have misunderstood something about offering the award for the different studies. Just to be clear again for the CATH study. So the bids, the RFQs come in on the 11th, and then we're going to meet beginning of the following week, the week of 8/15. And when did we think we might be scheduling interviews?
Well, given your schedule, we would want to do it on Wednesday. So it's going to be a short turnaround for them.
Okay, you did say that you wanted an award by the 22nd.
Yeah, I mean, I guess our other option, Erwin, would be to interview that morning of the 22nd.
Okay.
And then bring those comments if you're available the morning of the 22nd.
I will be. Yeah.
That would give them more time to put together some kind of a presentation.
Yeah, I would be available on the 22nd.
Okay. All right, so that's another possibility for the interviews.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, I think that's it, Hank.
Great. I know you want to vote on the meeting minutes, but we also want to discuss this special town meeting occurring on the 24th of October.
Well, we still have, so hold on a second. We've got, the studies is all set, right, Hank? With the Hillside Boiler topic?
Yes.
And then we got the meeting minutes, which we'll put in the other business. We also have the meetings. And then do you want to do the town meeting discussion then, or you want to do it now?
No, let's continue with this agenda.
Okay,
The Hillside Boiler Project, basically, building maintenance has been taking that all along, has led the RFQ process. And so we just need to formally vote to transfer that project to the building maintenance department.
okay. And for some reason, we voted on an item prior, did we not, Catherine, in terms of this? Or was not this particular
No,
project?
I think it was the Pollard, wasn't it? The Pollard
The Pollard,
Locker.
locker program.
Yeah, okay, all right.
and we have been discussing this one. You may recall
Mhm.
that when we initiated the Hillside study, we didn't know whether it was more advantageous to repair some and replace one of the boilers, or to fully replace the systems. So we rolled this into the larger Hillside project, not knowing the answer to that question, which we found out during schematic design that it was more cost effective to repair the existing system and replace one of the two boilers than to look to fully heating the entire building through all electric systems. So the two projects were somewhat merged at that time, and now we want to just formally transfer that portion of the project to building maintenance department.
Just a quick question. I believe this was originally in building maintenance hands and their responsibility all along, correct?
That's correct, because it
And-
was under $500,000.
Then why don't we just say we're gonna give it back to them?
That would be
We
very,
don't really need to vote it because we kind of, it was in their hands in the first place.
well, we
But
can,
It was
Go ahead.
also in a warrant article that said the PBBC had jurisdiction over it. So I think we need to
Oh,
formally
it
vote.
did. It was
Yes,
in the
it did.
warrant article?
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
Mhm.
I wasn't aware of that.
So to that point, why don't we make a motion to take the Hillside Boiler Project and transfer it over to BMD. Here, second.
I'll second it.
Thanks, George. Any questions?
I don't want it.
I like how you go on mute immediately after
This is,
that.
well, I said, is this recording? I keep forgetting sometimes. Yeah. No, I'm more than happy to continue on down the road.
Okay, for that, I'll go through the roll call. Richard,
Aye.
Roy,
Aye.
George,
I,
Erwin,
Aye.
chair is aye. Is there any user community member to vote on that?
well, I guess it would be Barry.
Okay. Barry,
Aye.
okay. Done. All right, now let's go. We've got three topics. One is, if I could just put the first one, which is the approve the last meeting minutes with the quorum that we have. I'd like to put forth the approval of the previous meeting's minutes. Do I hear a second?
seconded.
Thank you, George. Any questions? Hearing none, coming to the roll call, and I believe if I miss it, correct me, but Richard?
Aye.
Roy, you were here or not here last time?
Not here.
George,
I,
Erwin,
Aye.
and the chair is aye. Okay, so that takes care of the approve the minutes. The next topic, well, there's two topics. One that you started to bring up, Hank, in terms of the town meeting, special town meeting, and the other one is I'd like to just have a quick, I hope, discussion, folks. Now that the virtual meetings have been extended to next March, I put out an email out there in terms of different approaches. I'd like to just iron out some of the responses that came back and get a plan in place for us going forward and what the committee would like to do. So I don't know which one's better to go first. Maybe Hank, the town meeting might be the best, and then we'll go to the meeting format logistics.
Sure. The October 24th discussion, I guess the biggest issue is whether we need to have a, well, we have a meeting on the 11th of October. And at that meeting, we will have the bids in hand for the Emery Grover project. So at that meeting on the 11th, we would want the committee to weigh in on both the recommendation to award the contract pending town meeting approvals and any recommendation for modification to the amount within the warrant if deemed appropriate. And in that case, the meeting on the 24th of October, we might just be able to cancel it, or if there's a lot of debate that goes on regarding the amount within the warrant article, we may need a subsequent meeting prior to the 24th. And until we have bids in hand, it's difficult to say exactly how we want to proceed on that.
So Hank, you're saying that by the 11th, we would have the information to have the discussion, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
I think that's all we can do is, I think we need to have that discussion on the 11th if there's any change. I mean, based on the chair's meeting and the approach that the board wants to take, select board, I think the only we can do on the 11th is parlay the information. I don't think it's anything else we can do at that point. Are you anticipating there's other topics to work out?
I hope not. I hope it's pretty direct. But as I mentioned before, I think there's going to be a, I gather that it's difficult to find the added funding in today's budget.
Are you saying for the 4-4?
Yes.
I think that's but that's, I would just say it's August right now. I would expect us in September is probably have there needs to be a fact sheet and everything else about where the current state is. When the bids come out, that just level sets where we are. And I would think it's, I don't know, Michael, if you have an opinion on that, or Ann, is that it's going to be just like as if we were doing the project earlier. All we can do is we can't answer for where the funds are going to come from, whether they're going to approve. I think all we can do is provide the facts.
Okay. And I believe that we will also need an emergency preamble.
Yes.
To get the funds available for immediately following town meeting. Now I know that requires a special vote.
But that would be part of that warrant article.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or
That's just, and we can talk about that at the chair's meeting. I think the chair's meeting will clarify what the circumstances are for that warrant article, and the emergency preamble is what it is. But getting back to your point about the meetings on October 11th, I don't know how everybody else feels. I think it's pretty clear. The October 11th is, we will have information we have to contend with. The only thing we can do is dot our I's and cross our T's to make sure we're giving everybody the right information. And I think if there's fact sheets that would go out for the meeting, so people can have enough information to digest, I don't know what else the committee can do at that point, or should do for that matter.
okay.
And I'll just, if anybody else has any other discussion points, the table's open.
Well, I'd like to offer a comment. So a possibility might be that the project costs are known at that point to be higher than what is in the warrant. Okay? And if that's the case, don't you think there will be some pressure from maybe select board, maybe FinCom, to actually decrease our contingency that we've asked to have in there? And that they will revisit that, in the next town meeting. Don't you think something like that will be a potential suggestion?
Yeah, I think they're gonna put that now, George. I think they're gonna put that on the table right now. Why go for the 20%? I think we have taken as a committee a position that the 4.4 and the 20% is the right way to go. I think to your point is that if the bids come higher, that's a whole different kettle of fish and something's pretty serious. I think in the chairs meeting, we should, Hank, I think we should have that, and Michael, we should have some of that discussion, because I think that's a real possibility. I mean, either the bids come in dead on, they come in lower, or they can come in higher. Those three scenarios, I think, have to be prepared for within the discussion of the chairs committee and for the town meeting. I think if it comes lower, it's a lot easier discussion because we can lower the amount of money. Doesn't answer where the money's coming from, but that's FinCom and everybody else is gonna have to figure that out. If the money comes in at the suggestion we have now, same topic. If it comes in higher, I think, George, I think it's an open question whether the project could even go ahead, but.
Well, I would point out that in the estimate, the 20% is composed of three separate numbers. We had a 3% bid contingency. We had a 7% construction contingency, and we had a 10% owner's contingency. So if the bids come in only 3% higher, that would still leave us with a 17% contingency in those two other buckets. And that I'm very sure there'll be pushback to go even higher. We wouldn't be able to get any additional funding. We can't increase the number once it goes into a warrant article. We can only decrease it, as Richard pointed out.
And maybe if I may just interject too, is that maybe this conversation we're having right now, we should have post the chairs meeting to get the feedback. Because I think we need to put the three potential outcomes on the table. Because George, I think the question I really have is how much resistance do we have within just the internals before you even go to town meeting for even the 4.4? And is it something that can be presented to town meeting, debated and funded? Because if it doesn't, everything's moot. Maybe I'm taking an extreme position, but I think post this chairs committee, I think we should, as a committee, come back either, which is on the 22nd of this month or on the 6th of September, and determine how we are going to build the fact sheet and what position we're going to take. George, that's just before we debate too far down the road in this discussion.
Yeah.
I think you ought to have that discussion on the 22nd when you find out more.
Yeah.
The dollars are going to come. Well, the recommendation on where to get the dollars are going to come from Dave Davison. The finance committee may disagree, agree, but he's the one who's going to say to you, this is how I think we can find it or not. And I think you also have, you laid out your three scenarios, but if Dave says I can come up with 4.4 for an October town meeting, fine. He says you can't. And you do have this question of saying, how much can he come up with? And are you willing to come back, in May, when again, you may have some more information, if he can't get the full amount for October.
And I think even further, Michael, is and George, I think the question is, can we do anything less? If the project right now is at 26 plus, we need the 4.4 and the contingency. Would this committee accept anything less than that?
Less than
the project?
or less on the project? I don't think.
Would we agree to go forward on this project with less funding than what we know today. That is, if we took the 26 and said that's where everything's going to sit from a price standpoint, which means we need to get the 4.4. We get the 4.4, we'll do it. If nobody will fund the 4.4, or they'll fund 1 million of it, just as an example, I don't want to debate too far. I just want to put the simple question out there. Would we as a committee agree to go forward? Could we go forward?
I wouldn't.
I think you need to see what the real numbers look like and how much of it you can get.
Right, but I think, Michael, if our assumption is that in order to do this project, the bids will come in, say at 25, 26, nothing less. If we don't find the funding, or no one wants to support that number as it stands today, would we agree as a committee to go forward? I certainly have severe reservations based on all the value engineering, everything that's been done by you guys and Dan and everything else.
Yeah.
That I don't know where else you can cut 2 to 3 million out of. I'm just saying, if we think 26 is really the number that's going to come in, and everybody says, no, we won't fund anything but say 22 million, we'll give you another million. As a committee, I would think we're pretty hamstrung to go forward with this project.
Yeah. But you know, part of what you're gonna put together when we articulate whatever we're asking for more money, whatever it is. And I think this is going to be pretty apparent to people where we are because of the inflationary environment, right? So, as a town, we either do this or what's the other option? I mean, you can diddle and delay and postpone, but the reality is the cost will just go up probably faster. So the question is, can the town find the money? And where would it find it?
You can come back next spring, but add another $4 million.
Yeah, it's not gonna, I think the case you're gonna make is we're gonna do our damn best to have it, to not have to use all that contingency, but we have to be prepared, especially in this environment.
Yeah.
I mean, you're also going to be counting on and making the case that this committee has done an incredible job getting projects in on or under budget, right? So.
Well, I agree with that, but I think that's our point, right? We believe strongly with everything we've done, and we don't need to debate it. That's why I'm saying I don't see how this committee, and let's wait until we get down the chairs committee as we get closer and we work in September. But I just don't think anybody is on this committee would feel comfortable if with what we know now, and the bids do expect to come in there, we could do anything less. But I don't know. Barry, you have your hand up.
I think there is some room to reduce the cost. There's certain things that I talked with Hank and Deborah about that I think will reduce the cost. I'm not sure about compliance with energy codes. I mean, that's where we'd have to kind of really consider what it is that we're trying to reduce. But there are things we can do. I still think there are things we can do. I'm almost done with the 90%, marking them up, and I still have to input. Hank's got a spreadsheet that I'm going to put a bunch of questions that I have in there. So I don't know. I think we can do a little bit. I think there's still some more room to reduce some of the expenses. And but what I wanted to say was, after doing this for 25 years, building and being the operator of some of the buildings that I've built, I've always bet on the 10% contingency with the overall cost. But this building, because of the age and because of where we are in the world, there's no way that we would. I don't think anybody would feel comfortable less than 20% contingency for this. It would not be wise to ever go below that, given the building, the age of the building, and just, I think it would be really bad if we settled for anything less than 20% contingency on this.
Your comments are going to be in presumably in the documents. They'll be included in there. So hopefully the bid price will have been based on your comments to make changes where you think savings could be made, right?
I hope so, but that'll be a discussion with Hank, Ken, Deborah.
Right, exactly.
All right. Any other part of this discussion? We good? Hank?
I think we're good. We'll keep everyone apprised.
Thursday.
Okay. All right. So after the chairs committee, next PVC meeting, I think we should take up a little bit more. Maybe we make that a either other business or its own topic, Catherine and Hank. So
Yeah, we'll make it its own.
okay. All right.
I will talk to Matt and Andrea before the meeting, so they have some prep from us, from me.
Great. Okay. The last other business item is our meetings. I wanted to ask the committee just to clarify their points of view. As we know, the governor and the legislature extended virtual meetings till end of next March, which gives us the option to either stay as is with Zoom meetings in the email I put out. Second, we can do a hybrid, which is Zoom meetings, and we could alternate going all in person or Zoom meeting, or do in person plus a Zoom meeting at the same time, or go all in person and no Zoom meetings. I don't want to make this too complex. I think it's really important, given everybody's schedule. The question is, where can we assemble, how easily can we assemble everybody? But how can we also be an open meeting and make sure that others can be invited? With Zoom meetings, these get posted, people can dial in and join. But can I just ask the committee to just put a comment out there of what they prefer or a recommended approach? And can we just agree how we're going to move forward over the course of the fall? Erwin?
I prefer that we meet in person, but there should also be an option for people to connect by Zoom. I think that would be the best of both worlds, given so much uncertainty that remains with COVID.
Okay, I mean, with the in-person and doing the hybrid, so to speak, I think Hank would lean on trying to figure out the technology of being able to do a room where everybody can, there's only a couple rooms out there, I think, that can support that, but we can take that offline. But I think that's what it would do. Others?
I was just going to jump in. I don't really have a preference. I miss the in-person meetings, but I'm happy to work with the group as well. I worry about the technology. I worry about the in-person meetings with people online being less than, just because of the way technology works sometimes. But I understand the need to do that. Given a choice, I like in person, but I really want to be supportive of other people's needs. I have flexibility.
I think everybody got my comments that I sent out. I think that I really do miss the in-person meetings, and especially when we're, for example, when we're being presented with a design by our architectural team or engineering team, where we might have some interaction and hear what other people have to say. It's not as easy to do that on Zoom as it is to do it in an in-person meeting. So I would really like to see in-person meetings for especially those kinds of meetings, or where we have a big cost estimate presentation, where we have to discuss the costs and the pros and cons and how we could take out certain things to reduce the cost, or any of those kinds of discussion. I think it's good to have an in-person meeting for those types of subjects. I don't know how you do that, except you know what's going to be on the agenda in 2 weeks, and it's going to be a particular meeting that's going to be either controversial or have a lot of discussion points made. I think we ought to plan to do that. And for routine meetings, keep it as a Zoom meeting.
Richard?
Well, first off, I'm curious, Mr. Chair, as to the outcome of your survey of the committee. Curious as to, although it sounds like I think people are kind of sticking to the positions that I'm aware of so far. I've been leaning toward continuing with Zoom, although I did run into George at a kind of a during the business day one day last week, and we talked about it. And I certainly can. I certainly understand, and I like his approach. I think having the kind of selected meetings in person. I do worry about the COVID situation because while it does seem to be ameliorating, these things seem to go in waves, and we don't know what the fall is going to bring, and we might be ending up back where we started on fully remote. The other thing, too, on the other hand, I was not impressed with Zoom tonight. I don't think it lived up to its expectations. Usually it's very, very good. This is the first time I've had a problem. I had a problem logging in, and then compound things, I had the audio issue, and then Hank did as well. So that disappointed me a little bit, and it has caused me to kind of sort of rethink a little bit the fully Zoom approach. So I guess where I come down is I still think the majority of the meetings should be on Zoom at this juncture. That's the way my place of business is operating. I go into the office 2 days a week. I wear a mask all day long. I hate it, but I do. And I take the train in and out each of those days. And you know, I've come to live with it. It's okay. It's fine. There's not been any issues. But I'm also home 3 days a week, so that tells me that hybrid really does seem to be effective. So I guess the bottom line is I still come down more on the pro Zoom side, but less so than I had originally felt. And I do like George's approach, but I do think that we need to be selective as meetings that we select for in person.
Yeah, I think I tend to agree with the selective approach, which is, and I think maybe Hank, you and I can chat, but I think what we should do is the next meeting we should do Zoom. We should look for over the next 4 months, to your point, George, which meetings are more critical from a working session perspective, and maybe we can plan that out. And Hank, that's where I think if we just have a discussion and look at the project schedule and the various timeline and see where we may have this design review, where we may have these working topics, putting aside any emergency issues, any issues that come up that we have to really work, where might it make sense? And I'm going to suggest that we at least have 2 meetings before the end of the year in person, if we can. I mean, I think to your point, Richard, I keep hearing that COVID increases and it decreases, and I'm not sure where it's standing, but I think there is a fear of when everybody comes back to school and everything else, the petri dish effect could be occurring, but I'm not going to predict that. So I think 1 to 2 meetings before the end of the year and start with that on topics. Maybe you're right. I think it would be very good for everybody to see each other for once. And get a discussion. So my proposal is to take this feedback and to look at sprinkling in a couple of meetings in person. I think we do have to have Zoom ability or online ability with those meetings. And I think we have to look at that too, Hank, is how could we pull that off effectively? If it becomes too much of a nightmare, it wouldn't make sense to me. Michael, you have your hand up.
And just that, as you know, the school committee's been meeting live for a long time now. And we do a hybrid, we have it so that people who can't make it, or just for whom it's difficult, can participate if they need to. Occasionally we have a school committee member who can, but the key is going to be the technology. And I've talked with Mark about this, and he's talked to, the town about what the facilities are. So I think it really depends on what kind of facilities that you need to allow people to fully participate. And that's primarily the board members. I mean, you can bring other people in for presentations. Right? That's not as critical sometimes. It's nice to have them there, but it's really the public process of having the board be able to see each other and talk with each other that's very important. So I think the facility will determine how often you can do it.
Great.
Catherine has been checking in, and we traditionally have met at the library room downstairs. They are apparently getting the OWL capability. If they don't already have it, they're getting it in place. So Catherine has reserved the library room for upcoming meetings. We can selectively choose to cancel those as appropriate. There are other meetings that occur concurrently with our meeting at PSAP, but occasionally when we meet on a Tuesday, we might have an opportunity to use the PSAP Charles River room.
And you could have a Zoom meeting from there, Hank?
We do, and the Climate Action Plan Committee has been doing hybrid meetings out of the PSAP Charles River room pretty much from the beginning. Some people in person and others Zooming in.
I believe the Great Plain room downstairs at Town Hall also supports that, right?
Yes, and also the room across the hall from the Great Plain room. So any one of those is adequate. It's just a matter of getting them reserved and not bouncing around too much, so that when we do meet in person, people know where to come. I guess for Richard, getting from the train station to Town Hall would be easiest, but the library isn't that tough either.
Library's closer.
Okay, so Stuart, you and I will look into the dates and anticipated agendas, and then make some recommendations to the rest of the committee.
Yep.
And I should point out that the other elephant in the room is that Dave Davison will be coming up with some financial planning relative to the school master plan following Labor Day. And so we will definitely want to look at that with this committee. And maybe it ends up being a joint meeting with the school committee, because the PBBC is not the selecting body or the advising body. We're the advising body and implementing body, whereas the select board and the school committee are really the decision makers of large projects like that.
Hank, are they still planning on having the committee that we had before look at it and provide input?
That's my understanding. And
yeah. I was the BBBC representative on that committee.
Yes.
Are they still going to have that? It was like
yeah.
hearing.
Well, there was some debate as to whether the first discussion would be with the chairs.
Okay.
And then the working group, or whether it would go. I think the chairs would be most interested in the outcome. And then if there are variations that need looking at, then that would probably go back to the working group.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else, Hank?
Do we want to set an alternate date for the October 24th meeting? Or do we want to leave
that till the next meeting? I think we should leave that till the next meeting.
Okay.
Barry, you have your hand up?
I do. I just had a question and a comment. Catherine, are you at PSAB?
No, I'm at home.
Okay. Comment. George, I had told you that I had got a Mitsubishi split system within a month at the Rosemary. I was mistaken, given the fact that 90% of all the split systems I have in town are Mitsubishi. The one I got in a month's time was a thermal zone from United Refrigeration. So it was a thermal zone. It wasn't a Mitsubishi. I apologize for telling you the wrong manufacturer. But it was a thermal zone, which are just as good, if not better. They're locally produced. and manufactured, and you can get them right down the street at United Refrigeration.
Mine was for a whole house ducted system.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's the problem they were having. I could get a split system easily myself.
Yeah, I think that was the problem we had at Hillside as well, is that they do not make the ducted split systems. So we did have to go with Mitsubishi at Hillside.
Yep.
Okay,
All right, thanks.
all right, with that,
I had one other comment for Hank that's not related to the meeting, but I need to ask him. Hank, how did the wedding go?
Good. Just great. It took me a week to get prepared and a week to take everything apart, but it was a great wedding, and we had beautiful weather, albeit a little hot. And everyone enjoyed it, I think.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm glad
excellent.
it did.
That's a good note to end on. All right, with that, everybody, unless there's any other last minute, going once, going twice. Okay, we will now close out the PUC meeting for August 8th. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.